what's up, everyone? Welcome to the David Nardi podcast. I'm your host, Dave Nardi, and this is the very first episode. I'm glad you guys can join us. For now, I will be pre-recording all my episodes and doing my post-editing, production, etc., later on. One day, hopefully, I will be able to bring these episodes to you live. Possibly get some phone calls involved, take live calls, get some music edited in the background live as we go along with the show. But until then, this is kind of how we're gonna have to do it. Anyone that knows me knows that technology is not one of my strongest points. I am not very in tune with all the equipment and technology that is available to us in 2018. Yeah, I'm not proud of that. It's just I've never really been one to catch on quick when it comes to, just the year after year. It seems like we're advancing so much. And I can't keep up. But at the same time, they keep repackaging the same old stuff and telling us that it's the next new thing. Every year, Apple brings out a new iPhone. And everyone goes crazy over it. Except for Android fanatics, obviously. And people keep paying top dollar for a repackaged phone. There might be one slight little upgrade, but it's all the same shit. So I don't know. I leave that technology stuff to the people who are more in tune with that, who can, pick up on it easily. My younger brother, he went to film school. And he works a lot with cameras and microphones and, editing with different software programs, things of that nature. So, he might be able to help me in the near future with bringing you live shows. But like I said, until then, this is how we're going to do it. Welcome to the David Nardi podcast. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me. Close friends, family. I've always wanted to do something in the field of radio or broadcasting, maybe even, I believe it or not, a lot of people don't know this about me. I once wanted to be, a news anchor, a radio show host, something of that, that magnitude. And I just never really, got around to it. I didn't go to school for communications or broadcasting or anything like that, which probably would have been a something to, if that was something that I was interested in, I definitely should have took that approach. But I got stuck in the 9 to 5, everyday grind type of. But the great thing is, in 2018 is with social media and everything else that's out there, I can do it my own way. I bought this blue snow microphone. I'm not sure if that's blue is the brand. I believe the Snowball Ice mic. It's a USB mic, plugs right into my computer, and I use the voice recorder program that is that came with the laptop. And boom, we're here, we're doing it. So luckily for someone like me, they made it as user-friendly as possible. All I had to do was plug it in, boom, it's recording. As I sit here on this beautiful October day, it is Wednesday the 3rd, and last night, the Chicago Cubs, I am from the Chicagoland area, born and raised, currently living in Northwest Indiana, Highland to be exact. Just recently moved out this way almost a year ago. Bought a house with my lovely wife, Cheryl. And, it was a heartbreaking loss. I'm a Sox fan, though. But let me put this out there first. I vaguely follow all your traditional American sports. I love my Chicago teams, White Sox, Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks. But I don't really stat check, fact check those sports like your average bro out there. I'll put on ESPN or, a game in the background while I'm doing stuff around the house. But, my main thing, I love the fight game, mixed martial arts, boxing. One of my idols, Joe Rogan, described it perfectly on his podcast. He talked about how he just he feels out of touch, or, he can't get in these conversations with guys about your traditional American sports. He doesn't feel, welcome in that discussion. He feels out of place. That's the words I was looking for, out of place. And I know that feeling. I know the players that I like. I know the teams that I like. Obviously, the Chicago teams I root for first. I have other squads outside of the Chicagoland area that I also like, and players. But in terms of the sports, I really didn't grow up playing them as much. And it didn't really, it's not something that I can get into a long-term conversation about. But yeah, first and foremost, I am a Chicago White Sox fan when it comes to baseball. And I'm not going to lie, I took a bit of satisfaction and joy seeing the Cubs lose last night. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a jerk for saying that. I might not gain a lot of fans by saying that, but that's truly how I feel. I do think the Chicago Cubs have a very arrogant fan base. I don't think they're as nasty as some of the White Sox fans, but I'll tell you what, and I've been told this by many Cubs fans, that Chicago White Sox fans are bitter. We're angry. We're always the first ones to talk trash. And that may be so. I believe that. But, White Sox fans, they feel like the forgotten team. When the White Sox won in 2005, when they won the World Series, it was like it didn't even happen. ESPN maybe had a little bit of coverage about it for maybe a day, couple days. Local media didn't, they celebrated for a week, if that. But it seemed like it just came and went. But yeah, definitely White Sox fans feel like the redheaded stepchild of the city compared to the Chicago Cubs. Definitely. So I think that's why they attack first, verbally. But trust me, Chicago Cubs fans, they come right back. And they can dish it out too. And things can get heated. For the most part, I think everyone gets along. When we have the Crosstown Classic, when the Cubs and Sox play each other, it's usually all love, There might be, some minor scuffles here or there at the worst, but usually everything is copacetic. But yeah, you have those White Sox fans that sometimes, they say, oh, I root for Chicago teams. I root for all Chicago teams. If the Sox ain't in it, then I'm going to root for the Cubs. But see, I'm not one of those guys. And I'm one of those bitter White Sox fans that don't mind seeing the Cubs lose. They played against their division rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers, to clinch the division. All they had to do was win that one game. Lost at home. Had to watch the Milwaukee Brewers celebrate clinching the division on their home field. That had to have been tough to do as a player and as a fan. That had to have been tough to do. I know I would have been upset. I may have polished off a 12-pack watching it with a night like that. And then you come back the next night, and all I have to do is win one game, and they're in the playoffs. Wildcard games, what October's all about, against Colorado Rockies. And they blow it. I watched the game up until maybe the 8th inning or so. I believe the game was tied 1 apiece. Cubs had the bases loaded, 2 outs, couldn't get the job done. I believe Hayward ended the inning for the Cubs. And I got to get up for work early in the morning. I wake up at 4 in the morning most days, and yeah, I'm not a diehard Cubs fan, not really a baseball fan in general. So for me to stay up, any later than I absolutely had to watch that game. I mean, I don't hate the Cubs that much to where I needed to stay up to possibly watch them lose or possibly watch them win. So I fell asleep shortly after, and then, in the morning I see my notifications from ESPN, and lo and behold, they blew it. Now that's the Cubs that I grew up watching and knowing. Whether they had a good squad that year or not, I mean, they blew it my whole life. I mean, it was over 100 years before they finally won a World Series. So that was the Cubs team that we all know and love. But regardless to all my Cubs fans, sorry, there's always next year. As they say, there's always next year. Sorry, botcha. But moving on, since we're talking about the teams that I root for in your team sports. I understand the fanaticism from some of the people out there that really are diehard fans of these sports, football, baseball, basketball, because that's how I am with boxing and MMA. I was riding for Triple G. I'm a big Triple G fan. Some say he's overrated. I say yes only in that he comes from an era in which the middleweight division is lacking. It's starting to come up right now. It's getting there. But for, the past 5 or 6 years, the middleweight division has been empty. And they've been waiting for guys, like Canelo to move up, like Charlo. Not waiting in terms of waiting on, but they were younger at that time when Triple G first started his run at dominating the middleweight division. And for those of us who know about or lived through the golden era of boxing in the 80s, of the golden era of the middleweight division in boxing in the 80s, you were spoiled by the Fantastic Four. Leonard, Hagler, Hearns. You were spoiled by those four, and they would go at it with each other. You could mix and match any 4 of those fighters, and the outcome was up in the air. Oh, come on. My computer bugging me again. Some notifications. Anyway. Then you had the reign of Tyson. The heavyweight division was still going at that time. So, I mean, to say Triple G was overrated, I get that. But I definitely think he was the top middleweight of the past 5 years or so. And of course, everyone was waiting for Canelo versus Triple G. And of course, maybe it happened 2-3 years past the time when it should have. But I still feel it happened at a good time. If it happened too early, I don't think it would have been as competitive of a matchup. You know, Canelo had to fill out and grow into his frame, if that makes any sense. If this fight would have happened 3-4 years ago, I think it would have been complete domination by Triple G. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. And, you know, Canelo wasn't ready. I don't think he was ready. Ever since his loss to Mayweather, Canelo has improved fight after fight after fight. He learned a lot from that loss, and his skills just keep advancing. You know, I used to look at him as just a flat-footed, come-forward fighter. But, you know, his use of the ring in the first fight against Triple G, his footwork, his counter-punching abilities, his abilities to fight off the ropes, which were always there. But they just kept improving after the Mayweather fight. And you know, the hand speed difference between him and Gennady were obvious in both of those fights. In the second fight, he stepped it up a notch. But the second fight was still very controversial. Somehow, some way. Most mainstream reporters, most of your reporters from Press Row had Triple G winning that fight. Me personally, from what I saw, it was a draw. Although towards the end, Triple G started, hitting Canelo with some powerful shots towards the end. But in general, the storyline was the jabber / boxer or boxer puncher, that was Triple G, versus the counter puncher and the hooker, which was Canelo. I mean, those hooks to the head and body by Canelo were taking all of the wind away from Gennady. I don't think I've ever seen Gennady get beat up like that. But what I'm confused about is his game plan. Speaking about Triple G, what was that game plan? To stand in the middle of the ring and jab and circle? Using the jab to set up your shots is one thing, but this guy was, it gave the general public the appearance that he was being backed down by Canelo, which that wasn't. See, here's the thing. Everyone's saying that Canelo was being the aggressor. Yes, but was it effective aggression? That's one of the things that judges, that's one of their criteria to score rounds. Effective aggressiveness. Yeah, okay, Canelo was counter-punching, but also he was coming forward, and he was standing in the middle of the ring, trading shots in the pocket. But he never had Triple G up against the ropes. Triple G stayed right in the middle of the ring with him. So was his aggression really effective? And again, I don't know where that game plan came from, or why they continued to stand. It was clear to anyone watching that Canelo has the faster hand, so why would you take it back? That was, those Eastern European fighters, like Gennady Golovkin, have an extensive amateur background. And you saw that. I mean, that was him in his amateur days. The way he fought that. But like Max Kellerman said, why would you want to fight that way? It made no sense to me. And I thought Canelo looked a lot smaller than he did in the first fight. Now, I know a lot of people who saw that or are hearing me say this now might say, okay, that was the steroids. But here's one thing that no one really talked about with the clenbuterol issue. That was the steroid that Canelo tested positive for. Which is why their fight that was supposed to be on the weekend of May 5th was canceled. And Canelo was temporarily suspended. But a lot of people were saying the dangers of taking steroids to the other fighter, as if clenbuterol was a strength and muscle building steroid. From what I understand and what I've read about clenbuterol, it doesn't necessarily build. It's not a hard gaining steroid. It doesn't. It's not gonna, increase your strength by 10 times. It is actually it helps deplete your body of water weight. So maybe Canelo fell behind while it depletes your body of water weight while still maintaining what the muscle mass that you do have. So in my eyes, that tells me Canelo fell behind in training a bit, possibly. I don't know if he drinks or not, but if he does, maybe he had a few extra Coronas during his training sessions or during that time period. Maybe he had a few more tacos than he was supposed to. You know what I mean? I don't know. But it's not this hard gaining steroid like testosterone or tren. The people were like, he's to gain that should be attempted manslaughter or attempted murder if you were to fight on steroids. Yeah, well, maybe because if it makes you a lot stronger, but that's not what clenbuterol does. So I think there was a slight misconception in what he took and what clenbuterol does. I'm open to discuss this if I'm incorrect. Matter of fact, my email address is davidnardi85@yahoo.com. davidnardi85@yahoo.com. Feel free to shoot me any emails, any comments. You could comment on my Instagram page. And, but as far as I know about clenbuterol, it's not a mass gaining steroid. It just allows you to hold on to your mass as it dumps your water weight. But with that being said, he did look bigger in that first fight, in my opinion. He looked he's not as tall as Gennady Golovkin, but he looked about as stocky or wide in that first fight. Second fight, he looked frail. It looked like a teenager fighting a grown man. I don't know if anyone else saw that. I did have a few drinks that night, so maybe my vision was skewed, but I watched the fight a second time after that, and I don't know. He looked so much smaller, in my opinion, more frail. So my thought was, Triple G is going to come in there and destroy this kid. I thought this fight, he was after watching a little bit of the first round, I thought he was gonna go back to his original game plan, put pressure on Canelo, put him up against the ropes, and beat the fuck out of him. It did not happen that way, as we all know now. But both guys implemented their game plan nicely. Canelo threw the harder shots, the harder hooks to the body and head, while standing in the middle of the ring, counterpunching, coming forward, not moving around the perimeter of the ring like he did the first fight. So he was a little more aggressive. Not a little more, a lot more. But his aggressiveness didn't necessarily push back Triple G as much as, guys like Roy Jones made it seem like. He had him running. No, he didn't. He wasn't running. He was jabbing and circling to his left. And Triple G did just that. He outboxed him. He landed more jabs. And he used his jab to set up his right hands and his other power shots, which is boxing 101. So to me, that was a draw. I thought it was an even fight. I didn't see one man necessarily dominating the other. Although, I mean, towards the end of the fight, it seemed like Triple G was starting to be the more dominant force. So you could say he won the championship rounds, which is possibly why many people in mainstream boxing news felt, like your top analysts felt, that he won the fight. Triple G, that is. I think if you were to give someone the win, I think Canelo was the right decision. I think the correct decision was a draw, but Canelo, I guess, if you had to pick a winner, I think he was the right decision because, I mean, what's more appealing to the eye of a fan or a judge? Power shots. And I feel that for probably the first 7 rounds, it was Canelo landing more of those power shots, implementing his game plan more effectively, and that puts you at a win for Canelo. But hopefully, since there's still a lot of controversy, I'm hoping to see a third fight. Canelo is always going to have the advantage. He's the bigger pay-per-view draw. He has a whole country behind him. He's got the bigger promotion company, but he's got De La Hoya behind him. And his country shows up to his fights. And so the judges can definitely be swayed by the oohs and ahs of the crowd. So with that being said, from what I'm reading, it sounds like Canelo is going to be looking for another opponent because Triple G already said he's not fighting again in 2018. Canelo wants to stay warm, probably due to his time off from the suspension, so he wants to get right back in there. By December, I believe, is the date they're looking at, with David Lemieux as a possible opponent. Solid opponent if you're just looking to stay busy in between another potential rematch with Triple G. That's if you're doing business as a promoter, as a manager, that's the smart move. A lot of people are screaming, "Oh, well, he should take the mandatory. He should take Charlo." Charlo can come after a third fight with Triple G. If you're in this game to make money, you're trying to maximize your profits by setting up your career the right way, the same way Mayweather did. He might be taking advice from Mayweather. I know they've stayed in touch, and Mayweather has, in interviews and whatnot, has he rooted for Canelo. He gives him advice in these interviews. He might have, met up with him, made a phone call, with a translator or whatnot. I don't know, but it seems like Canelo is doing the smart thing financially with his career, especially by taking a fight that, Lemieux is not a skilled, the most skilled fighter, never will be, but he hits like a mule. He's dangerous. He's knocked out all of his opponents damn near, aside from Triple G and Billy Joe Saunders, who's another, tough matchup, great boxer. So I mean, that's the move to make if you're Canelo. I think David Lemieux would be the correct opponent for December. I wouldn't mind watching that fight. But moving on, this weekend coming up, I mean, we got big drama show. We got a big fight, as my Eastern European friends would say. Big show, big fight, big drama show. Yes, Khabib, Nurmagomedov, and Conor McGregor, of course. Why is that name so hard to say? I always have trouble saying that name. I'm looking up right now. Nurmagomedov. Oh man, that name used to be really hard for me to say. Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. I mean, in the undercards on that fight, this is a stacked card. Let's see. I want to pull up. I looked at it before, but I don't have all the matchups memorized. But that's another thing that I got to give props to Dana White. He, for the most part, tries to put on some of the more entertaining cards that I've seen. That's one thing that I think boxing is lacking, is that your undercard fights there's really, that's because the talent pool isn't as big, I would imagine. But there's not as many, the prelims and your undercards are not filled with big name fighters. And so that is a drawback, but UFC constantly brings it with their cards. So besides the main event, you got Ferguson versus Pettis. Great fight. And that can set up a fight between Ferguson, if he wins, or Pettis, against the winner of Khabib and McGregor. You got Derek Lewis, Michelle Waterson versus Felice Herrig. That's a good fight. The females always bring it. You got there's a good light heavyweight matchup thrown in there. So I am pumped for this weekend. Obviously, I'm going to get together with the crew. We're going to have a few drinks, some food, have a good time. Maybe get a little rowdy. We'll see. On fight night tends to bring out some of the antics. We think we have a few drinks and we think we're professional fighters. You start shadow boxing, people get crazy. A little wrestling going on. So you don't know what could happen. But at fight night, especially these, your McGregor fights, they're like the old Mayweather fights. Just they bring out the rowdiness in everyone. And I'm not going to bother trying to analyze this fight because everyone pretty much has the same idea. The same storyline going into this is the wrestler versus the striker. Is Conor going to starch him within the first few minutes or few seconds of the first round? Or is Khabib going to maul and ground and pound him for 5 rounds? That everyone believes that's going to happen anyway. And I've watched a lot of the breakdowns. Dan Hardy does excellent breakdowns for the UFC YouTube channel. Check him out. I love all of his breakdowns for other fights. But he did mention, and I'm hoping he's right, that we shouldn't just go along with that narrative because anything can happen. But I just can't see Khabib attempting successfully to trade shots standing up with McGregor. That would not be advantageous for him, and it wouldn't make sense. He doesn't seem to have that kind of... He's been wrestling his whole life and grappling, so he doesn't have that looseness about him. He definitely doesn't have the head movement to box. His head is a stationary target right down the center line, which it would be a dream for McGregor if he tried to, stand up. It seems like he boxes. I'm talking about Nurmagomedov here. It seems like he boxes. He throws wild shots, puts his head just to get in there for the takedown, just to set up the takedown. And you're going to see a lot of that. Your single, your double leg takedowns attempts. And if McGregor can stuff those, if he can stop those attempts, I mean, it's going to be a rough night for Khabib. But again, it's a pick 'em bout. I'm just hoping for an entertaining one. I hope they just go at it, balls to the wall, no one giving up an inch, no one backing down. The tides, the tides turning throughout the fight. It going from the ground to the feet throughout the fight. I'd like to see a bloody mess, if possible. Obviously, that's what everyone wants to see. And with the money that we're paying now, I mean, come on. That's the least that we can get. I would hope. Obviously, it's not the fighter's mind state is to win. So if when McGregor goes out there and gets a knockout within the first minute of a fight in any of his fights, you're getting your money's worth. But I mean, for $80-$90, I mean, come on, we got bills to pay, kid. It's getting a little outrageous, So you let your friends know when you get together with them. You gotta let your guys know. I'm one of those people that when I go to fights, I have $10-$20 ready, just for the fight. That's not including what I'm gonna throw in on beer, food, things of that nature. Or if I just bring my own beer, whatever it might be. But I never like to come empty-handed. And knowing how much these fights are these days, I always like to contribute a little something. I feel like it's only right. So yeah, come fight night, don't be that guy. Bring a couple extra bucks. Don't show up empty-handed. No money, no beer, no nothing. Don't be that guy. Come on. All right, we're going to take a quick break. This is the David Nardi Podcast. We'll be back. Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is David Nardi. Don't forget, you can leave any comments, suggestions, and topics you'd like me to speak upon at my email, davidnardi85@yahoo.com. That is DAVIDNARDI85@yahoo.com. Again, that is DAVIDNARDI85@yahoo.com. And I'll try to get back to your emails as quickly as possible. Thanks for listening. All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for holding on to that quick break. I've been listening to a lot of new music lately. Actually, that is a complete lie. I just listened to all the music I have on my playlist over and over again. I am actually very horrible. I'm bad when it comes to listening to new music that comes out. Usually an album will come out, like the last Eminem album that just dropped, and my friends and family that are really into the same kind of music I am, like, oh, you gotta hear this album, man, it's fire, and I won't listen for another 2-3 months. But Logic's new album, rapper Logic, he just dropped a new album. Checked it out today. Dope. I know people hate when hate that term. It's very played out. Dope. That's dope. But for real, it was on point. I definitely enjoyed it. It had like he brought back that old school vibe that a lot of rappers, younger rappers, are doing. And actually, he was going in stark contrast to the mumble rap, trap rap phenomenon that's taken over, the airwaves. And I thought it was an excellent album. He had a song called Wu-Tang Forever that actually had the Wu-Tang Clan as a guest feature, and it had because Drake did a song called Wu-Tang Forever, something similar to that, and it didn't. I don't even know why that song was called that, to be honest, because it didn't even have that sound vibe. It wasn't even really about Wu-Tang, so this was more true to that title. And he definitely brought it on this album. Logic is one of those rappers that has his moments to me where I feel like he's a little cheesy. I don't know. It's corny, if you will. And on this album, he had one or two moments like that. But for the most part, it was a very good album. So, yeah, as soon as you guys get a chance, if you're into hip-hop, check it out. It's called Young Sinatra 4. I would definitely recommend it. And I think I need to start doing that. When people recommend new music to me, I need to really hop on it right away and listen as soon as it drops, so it's still fresh. If it's a classic, you could listen to it 10 years from the day it drops, and it'll still be fresh. But you know what I mean. I'm trying to stay. If I'm gonna be doing the show, I probably should be up to date, right? It should be up to date on my music or the things that I'm gonna be trying to give a review on. This ain't a real review. I'm just telling you I like the album. I think you should go check it out. So as we continue on with the show, my mouse is giving me problems here. I need to have some guests on, some of these next episodes coming up. We will definitely be doing that. Hopefully some of my friends and family, will be willing to do a show. It's not it's not a conventional hobby, but luckily I have a laptop and my setup is portable. I have an omnidirectional mic, so if I have a few people sitting around the mic, we can probably make it happen. I honestly haven't tested that out, how well it picks up with multiple people trying to record at one time. But we'll in the near future we'll see how that goes. I've been doing a lot of stuff around the house too, and growing up, I never was the type of person to. I grew up in apartments. During high school, I moved out to the suburbs from the city of Chicago, and I lived in a house with my parents, and I always said, I like apartments, I like condos. I've heard of some of the nightmares that are come along with association fees, so I get that aspect of it. Because if your association takes a vote and decides, they decide how your money's being spent or your taxes. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but something in that idea, where you're not in full control of what goes on with your living situation. At the same time, come on, I'm not the guy. Some people. At times it can be, relaxing, throw your headphones on, you cut the grass. But, that's never been my thing. Sitting around, messing with the blinds, doing projects around the house. I could care less. I'm not a handyman. I never was. You got the wife telling, you need to do this and stuff. And I was like, like just recently. She takes my socks. My wife took my socks. I wear white socks when I'm at work. I do commercial flooring for a living. So when I wear black socks, I get my feet sweat. I get all the those black threads and stuff. They get stuck in your toes and it's not cool. I don't like it. So for work I wear white socks. And I had an endless amount of white socks. They weren't matched in pairs, nothing like that. I just had them in a hamper. A big mound of white socks in a hamper. And no, it's not because I'm a White Sox fan. But it's just, I guess you could say it was getting out of control. But I come home the other day and they're just gone. All the socks were gone. I thought she threw them away. But she did me a favor. They were clean, but she brought them to her mother's. I think she threw away the ones that didn't look too clean, like they needed to get 86, which is fine. And then she made some pairs for me, and I believe she's doing the same thing with my black socks today. But yeah, I guess it was getting out of hand. I guess I had, I don't know. For me, I liked having that amount of socks because, I figured the more socks I had, then the fewer times I would have to do laundry. I guess that was my philosophy on it. I don't know. Does that make me lazy? Possibly. Do I care? No. But that's one of the things. I guess that comes with the territory of married life. I just got married recently, August 25th. And then, immediately after, me and my wife, we went to we went on our honeymoon. We went out to the Dominican Republic, and it was beautiful. It was just great. We had an amazing time. We went out to Punta Cana on the Palladium Bavaro Resort, and it was just great. It felt so good to be pampered. And the second we walked into the lobby of the hotel to get checked in, they had a drink for us. The Coco Loco. Great drink. And that's all. I was just drinking rum the whole time I was out there pretty much. I don't know how many different types of mixed drinks they had on the menu, but it was just constant. The liquor was flowing. But I was already worn out from the wedding. The wedding was on a Saturday. We partied that whole weekend. We left Monday morning. By the time we landed, I was burnt out. So it's a good thing the resort was somewhat laid back. It wasn't really like a turn-up type of resort with a lot of young people. It was more family-oriented. And it was more laid back. Don't get me wrong, people were drinking, having a good time. The music was going by the pool and at the beach. They had like a little foam party, stuff like that. But it was definitely more chill, which is what I needed. I don't think it was till about the 4th or 5th day until we really started turning up. But obviously we did a few excursions, a few, like the swimming with the dolphins, the dune buggies, You know, if you've been on vacation, you know how that goes. But I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like part of me felt like I really couldn't tell whether we were helping the people that live there or if we were just exploiting them. Obviously we're giving them jobs that wouldn't be there if those resorts weren't there on the island. But when we went off the resort, when we did the Doom Buggy excursion, you're driving through town in a line of vehicles. And everyone sticks together, but you're going through some of the poorest areas of that section of the Dominican Republic. And just seeing some of these kids, no shoes, begging for money, coming up to our vehicles and just very sad to, I have no shoes, things like that. It was heartbreaking. Here I am, going back to the resort. I could order food to my room at any time. Buffet open, 16 hours of the day. They had a couple of bars that were open 24 hours and that served food. Just living my best life. And here's this kid, got no shoes. If I could spare him $1, that probably would have made his week. I wanted to give him $5. We couldn't find our money because everything was stuffed in a bag. Our wallets and our phones and all that. Because when you're on the Doom Buggies, you're getting splashed with muddy water and dirt, and you're getting extremely dirty. And the terrain is completely uneven. You got craters in the ground. You're bouncing all over the place. All your belongings could go flying anywhere. I would have loved to given those kids some money, and I felt really bad. But other than that, I hate to get on a depressing note, but yeah, I enjoyed myself. It was great, and married life is great. I've been with my wife before. We decided to take the next step. I was with her for years. She's my best friend, and there's no surprises. Whatever situation you have, however it came to be that you married your significant other, I have no judgment. But in my situation, at least I know there was no surprises. I've been with my wife for over 10 years, and many were saying, "Oh, it's about time, this, that, and the third." Well, everyone moves at different paces, different rates, and I've never been the type of person that goes along with society's conventional wisdom. Everyone has a plan for how the next person should live, and it's, I've never gone along with anyone else's plan. But what I know now is that I'm happily married with my wife, hoping to start a family soon. And it's just the little things that we enjoy together that make married life great for me. Whether it's just cooking with her, cleaning up around the house. She's doing some work in the yard while I'm cutting the grass, keeping me company. It's the little things, having a beer in my backyard on a nice day. Watching Jersey Shore. Yes, Jersey Shore. That is a guilty pleasure of ours. Always been a fan, still am a fan. Never miss an episode. We have it recorded on DVR just in case we can't watch the nights coming. And I mean, I'm still to this day, I'm amazed how entertained I am by them cast them. I don't. Some people might feel it's immature to still find that kind of stuff entertaining, but it's hilarious still to this day. The bromance between Paulie and Vinny, hilarious. the drama that goes on with JWoww and Angelina. Snooki's still hilarious. I love it. And Ronnie, I mean, the guy cries so much. I've never seen a man cry so much. I mean, I get it. It's 2018. Men are allowed to have feelings and express them, but actually, what I should say is I've never seen a human being cry as much as that dude. Besides a baby. Oh man, I mean, the guy is a wreck, and I love watching it. Me and my wife, that's one of our shows. What else? We've been getting into finally Grey's Anatomy. That's another one that we've been watching. And I didn't realize that show had been on for so long. 14 years. I mean, I think we're on like season 3 now, and we'll never be able to catch up. There's so many episodes. I didn't realize that, seasons can have almost 30 episodes in them. But I mean, this show, they must have some great writers, because to be able to keep pumping out episodes like that, that blows my mind. But it's a decent show. It's your popcorn disposable type sitcom where it's not really too much depth to it, even though I'm sure it's an award-winning show. But I mean, it's to be able just to push out episodes like that. I mean, it's your typical drama, But it's something, whenever we're looking around for shows on Netflix, I've gone through Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy, and, we're always looking for the next thing. I can't get her to watch, too many documentaries. They had that Making a Murder. That one was, to me, I watched that whole thing, within a matter of a couple days. But I can't get her to watch that kind of. She needs the more lighthearted, comedies and dramedies and whatever. So whatever I like Breaking Bad, she didn't even give that a chance. There's Better Call Saul. I'm watching that now. It's not working. So hey, and if you guys got any suggestions, throw them to my email. Send me the email. Because we're always looking for something new to watch. With a show like Grey's Anatomy, there's only so much that I can, watch before, okay, I need to take a break, move on to something else. We ran through Shameless, all seasons that are on Netflix, so now we're just waiting. I heard the last one wasn't that great. It was 8 or 9. I think it was 9 we just watched. Or no, 8. 9's on Showtime now, so we're waiting for that one to eventually come to Netflix. Might be quite a while. 8 wasn't that great. I heard 9's not that good either. So, like I said, we're always looking for a new show to watch, something to keep us going during the week. But we're already in October. I mean, where did 2018 go? It flew by. We're almost at my least favorite holiday of the year, Halloween. Never been a Halloween person. I don't get excited as an adult about dressing up. But this year I think I might do something funny. Maybe a cholo, maybe a Sikh, or I don't know. I'll figure it out. But just to try to get involved in the spirit and because you don't want to be that guy that goes out not dressing up to a Halloween party. Then you just seem like the Debbie Downer of the party, and I don't want to do that. I'm definitely thinking Creeper from the Cholo Fit Cholo Spin videos. That dude is hilarious. I gotta find out his name. I think I follow him on Facebook, but that dude's got me cracking up. You gotta check these skits out. Hold on. I'm Creeper. Dude's pretty funny. Oh, what the hell is going on here? Well, all of a sudden, my Facebook wants to act up. Alright, I'm done. Frankie Quinones. That's the comedian. And he does this character called Creeper. He's a cholo. He's got his different workouts. Cholo fit, cholo spin. This guy, he's hilarious. He's got me cracking up constantly. But I think that's who I'm going to be for Halloween this year. Got to do something, right? And this will be my first year being the guy handing out candy for Halloween. I'm pretty excited about that. You know, you love seeing the kids happy. That's the one thing about the holiday that I really do enjoy, is seeing the kids happy and keeping them entertained. And some of the younger ones, I mean, they're really cute with the outfits that they come up with now. So I mean, it's, you know, me and my wife will definitely get a kick out of that and enjoy it. So if there's one thing I can say about Halloween that I'm definitely gonna enjoy this year, is being a first-time homeowner, and handing out the candy to everyone that comes by in the neighborhood. So hopefully Highland, Indiana treats us good this year. You know, we have a good turnout. But I think that's gonna be it for us today. And get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed the very first David Nardi podcast. I am your host, David Nardi. Don't forget to hit the email if you have any suggestions, topics you'd like me to discuss, any music you might like me to play. I'm going to try to stay away from music because YouTube has their issues with copyrighted music being played. And I've had videos taken down in the past with other podcasts, so I'm going to try to stay away from that on this one. But moving forward, we'll see what's going on. Once again, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one.